Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening everywhere you are across the world. My name is Olumide Idowu, and we are here once again for another edition of Climate Wednesday. As you all know, that is a platform that creates an opportunity for people to learn and to engage, and to also listen to what other young people, leaders are doing in making sure that they impact more generation. And we've started this conversation on ESG, on climate justice, for the past couple of weeks now, and we're very happy that today we are bringing another passionate, energetic young Nigerian that is going to be speaking to us on the topic of governance and climate justice in Nigeria. We know that the issue of governance, climate politics is one of the biggest conversation that we've seen in the space today. And relating it to Nigeria, Nigeria is considered the 58th most vulnerable and the 22nd least ready nation to adapt to the threat of climate change. And vulnerability include exposure, sensitivity, and adaptive capacity. An estimate of over 25% of Nigeria lives in the exposed coastal region, a hub for economic activity and source of 90% of foreign income. And today's conversation is going to be focusing on governance, which we know that poor governance and minimal stakeholders engagement have remained the biggest challenge to climate readiness in Nigeria. And many key stakeholders lack awareness, understanding of the impact of climate change, whether on food security and the imperative for resilience. And government has also been unable to galvanize public and private stakeholders around the framework for climate resilience on agriculture, on different ideas. So today, we are looking at governance, how it's related to climate justice. And we have a very passionate brother. His name is Hussein Orekoya. He's a very passionate and great activist, a great environmentalist that have been doing fantastically well in this space. And today we are very happy to bring him on board to actually speak to us on this issue of governance and climate justice. And I'm going to be very happy if you listen and follow us to make sure that you get a big information or a big contribution from what is going to be telling us today. And I also want to assure you that you will not miss if you only engage and focus on what is going to be telling us. And you know, last week we focused on the food security impact on COVID-19, and Mr. Hussein Orekoya today is going to be speaking to us on governance and climate justice in Nigeria. He is the co-founder and the CEO of memyAfrica, the work for the future of cities in Africa. And they are endorsed by the United Nations Decade and SDCN Youth, also World Economic Forum, is a Google for non-profit and tech shop. So I'm very happy to bring on board today our brother Hussein Orekoya. Brother Hussein, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, anywhere you are. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good morning, Mr. Olumide.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you put your mic so that we can hear you very well? Good
Okay.
morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. It's nice to be here with you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to hear from you. And thanks for letting us engage with you as soon as we call on you. So, we have been having this conversation for many weeks now, and we're very happy that you're also on this platform to share your knowledge, your experience, and the understanding of what you know about climate justice. And today we are focusing on governance and climate justice, which is a very, very strong conversation that we're going to be talking about today. So let me quickly start. Can you tell us about yourself, what you do, and what inspired you to do what you do? Thank you very much.
Yes. First of all, I'm Hussein Orekoya by name. I'm a climate smart civil engineer, and I've been working on climate change and city development projects for the past 5 years. And what spurred my interest into climate change and environmental sustainability is about looking at our impact, particularly first of all as a civil engineer, looking at the impact of engineering into devastation of ecosystem restoration like that. So that really brought my attention to it that how can I be an agent in the engineering sector providing solutions to restore ecosystem well-being. So that's what brought my interest to that. And lastly again, while I was growing up with my mom, I got a kind of ethic ethics of working in a clean environment. There's this particular story I did tell people like about like growing up every last month of the year, like December, like that. My mom do have a kind of put in us like we should not carry over the debt or let's say the waste of last year to next year, to a new year. So we have it in the pattern like this: a new year, everything should be new, everything should be neat, everything should be clean. So that kind of perception brought up an idea that we do it every year to the extent that 31st of December, we do wash all the old house, wash all our clothes, and we sleep with ordinary boxer and singlets. That the next day, all what we wear, all what we eat, and everything will be clean and neat. So that kind of idea has been with us that really shape myself and my brothers' perception towards environment, and that's why I founded the NGO called My Environment is My Initiative, giving everybody a personal responsibility for the environment. That if perchance a family can adopt a personal cleaning environment for themselves, definitely if we integrate it across the whole nation, every family effort we work, we contribute towards what general sustainability of the ecosystem. I think that has been my brief
Thank
understanding.
you. Thank you very much. That was a very passionate story. And I'm
Yeah,
very happy that it's coming from the bottom of your heart and it's coming from the point of experience, not just a story that you've heard somewhere. And thank you so much. And looking at this conversation this month, this week, and today, it's something that speaks to your passion. How can we use what we call climate justice? How can we have environmental justice in the space? And I will quickly ask you this question so that we move forward and get this conversation going. What is climate justice governance to you? What do you think? What does climate justice governance mean for you, for your people, for your environment? Thank you.
yeah. Climate justice governance is mainly about how government policies is shaping climate change agenda or framework in a particular country, community, or state. So looking back to Nigeria, there is a section in the constitution, the 1999 constitution, that talks about climate change uh, governance is in the area of making or having a government policy that regulates everything we do, both the business we do, the 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 business we do, and the social living of everybody, and the impact of all we do in the general ecosystem of Nigeria. So I basically let me put it on the baseline now. Governance in governance and climate justice simply means that the government policy that we have in place in Nigeria to regulate how we act, how we do business, how we interact, how we contribute towards sustainability of the general ecosystem in Nigeria.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sorry, my lights just went off. This is Nigeria for you. But let's move on. It's something that is very, very important. Okay, so quick one. What is the importance of climate justice governance, especially in the world of today? What do you think is the importance of climate governance? Because a lot of people understand that what you've said to us about climate governance and how it means to you and for the world. What do you think is the importance of climate governance, justice governance, especially in the world that we live in today?
Thank you very much. The importance of governance is still going back to the baseline because everybody needs to be governed. We are in a community or in a society that is governed by law. There must there must be a law in place that regulates how we do things. And the importance is only about making sure that what we the metrics that we put in place, that we if we set a goal that this is our policy, we have a policy that we should reduce our carbon emission to this level. What is the law in place to checkmate and to regulate all the businesses that we are doing, both the national businesses and international businesses that we're doing, and how it contributes toward sustainability. And to cap it up again, the importance is now bring down to the fact that we use the, the government policy to regulate and to checkmate how far we are going and how far we are contributing towards the global national NDC, that's the national determined contribution towards climate change. And this is taking all our responsibility to make our country become responsible to the global climate change agenda and framework to ensure global and national ecosystem restoration.
Hmm. Thank you, Mr. Hussein Orekoya, for that very concrete contribution. Let me
Thank
quickly
you.
say that if you are watching us from anywhere across the world, across the space, anywhere you are watching us from, this is Climate Wednesday. It's a platform that creates opportunities for young, old, and environmentalists across the value chain to contribute their own quota to what is actually happening across the world. And today we are very happy that we have Mr. Hussein Orekoya, the co-founder and the CEO of memyAfrica, which is a very great platform that has been helping a lot of young people to amplify their voice and to make them to understand the importance of clean environment and a sustainable city. You can watch us live on YouTube, you can watch us live on Twitter, and you can watch us live on Facebook. On all those three platforms, you can continue to engage us. Drop your questions for our speaker. We're going to, maybe we're going to send all the questions to him to respond to them as we are going on. Thank you so much, Mr. Husseini, for that contribution and that conversation we are having today, which is something that a lot of Nigerians, a lot of the world leaders and African youth want to listen to. So let's move on, Mr. Husseini.
Yeah.
Let's come down to a country that you live, which is Nigeria. How has the Nigerian government have been responding to climate justice? Because you can see in the northern region, in the southern region, in the western region, a lot of injustice is going on. And how do you think the Nigerian government has been able to respond in reporting all this climate justice? What do you think what is your take on how the Nigerian government has been responding to climate justice? Thank you.
Yeah. Currently and at the moment, the level of implementation of climate change framework and justice in Nigeria is really not as it should be. Though there are a lot of plans and promises and commitments to checkmate climate change and environmental sustainability framework in Nigeria, but to the fact that there are a lot of points of probably there are a lot of factors that have been slowing down the implementation and processing of all these framework and laws. Looking at a lot of uh, injustice going on in Nigerian ecosystem, like the Ogoni land in 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 the south, and also some other part of the country where there are a lot of deforestation and global what's called it, emission, whereby there are a lot of international organizations coming in to support. But we see that there are no policies, or rather the policies that are on ground are not being implemented properly. They are not firm hand on deck to ensure that all these are in place. And one key factor that is bringing down a slow implementation of this is what? Change in government. So changing government and governance also bring up a lot of political agenda that really drag back so many climate justice plans to propel Nigeria forward towards meeting the global emission targets and global ecosystem restoration framework too. But we won't give up, because one thing is just that there will surely be plans, and there surely be what there will surely be a kind of aspiration to ensure that our ecosystem is sustainable for the future. But looking at it now, we know we are not yet where we are, but we shouldn't give up on what we are doing. We keep pushing, and that's why we encourage a lot of young activists and advocates to come up on board, to put up their voice on ground, and let's push for concrete implementation of this climate justice in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy that you advocate for climate activists, journalists, all other stakeholders to come on board to speak for the climate injustice that is going on, because we can't wait for anybody to do this for us. We can only make our own community a contribution, and we can only impact our own local community as we move on. And it is very important that we know that the government need to look at the issue from the south side, from the southeast, southwest, and what have you, because, like you said, the emission issue, deforestation, uh, 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 um, afforestation, all those kind of, even oil spillage, gas flaring, all those things are one of the things that we see as an injustice. And the only way we can make this work is for us as young activists, or leaders, or let me say decision makers, to work together and to come on board and to make these voices heard. And that is why we are using this platform to make everybody to understand that we need climate justice now, and our governance structure need to, support the people that are living in a very prone area. Like I always tell people, when two elephants are fighting, it's the grass that suffers. So these people that are suffering from these activities or from this contribution really needs a lot of opportunities for them to also speak out and also contribute their own quota to change the narrative or what is happening in the space. So thank you very much for that contribution. Let's move on so that we can wrap up. This is a very good conversation today. What are the roles of effective policy making and implementation towards driving climate justice? You know, when we talk about effective policy making, what are the what do you think are the role? Well, let me say, what is your role? What is the role of policymakers? What is the role of decision makers in making sure that the implementation towards driving climate justice? And are there examples of maybe you have a policy or that have driven this kind of activity? If we don't have, but let us know what are the roles of policymaker in this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for this question. Actually, I love the question because it talks about sustainability in my own point of view, and I'll share the idea for you or with every one of us on the platform now. The role of policymaker can never be underestimated because policymaker are the custodian of policies, and once policy are being made, they are the one that formulate the policy, and what after the policy has been made also, they also what, ensure that the implementation is going steady, and there are a lot of monitoring and evaluation towards the policy framework and the on-ground implementation strategy. Looking at it in the second part of the view is that policy making in Nigeria has gotten to a level that is not being implemented because the key stakeholders that should one of the key stakeholders rather that should be included in the formation of the policy and are being excluded, which are the youth. The youth are being sidelined not because of they are not good enough, but I will rather be biased in the sense that they have been sidelined because of the feel that they are not yet ripe or they are not yet to the time to bring up policy ideas. But we can't shy away from the ideas of the youth because we are active, we are strong, we have the intellect also because we are educated. And in this kind of 21st century that we have, young policymakers has the ability and the longevity to retain a policy that they make. Take for instance, we have a policy in Nigeria that talks about making the ecosystem sustainable to the year 2050. Most of our leaders of today, it is likely that when we get to 2050, they will all be weak, both in strength, physically, and mentally itself. But once youth are part of the discussion, are part of the formulation, it will give longevity to the policy. It will give sustainability for the next generation to be part of this discussion. And in that way, we can easily measure and have a very strong metric for what we've achieved for the past years and what we're about to achieve for the next future years. And this is my own take on the importance of the role of policymakers in climate justice in Nigeria. And I'm using this medium to also advocate for the inclusion of youth in policymaking in Nigeria. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. That is so detailed. I'm so happy that you're able to, you know, give us the understanding of what policymakers are and how their formulation, and how the implementation and the stakeholder that need to be part of it to make sure that this policy have the longevity, this policy have the sustainability. It is very, very important, and I can say that I accept your contribution because a lot of our policies are not that effective, but we have good policy on paper. So how do we drive that implementation and working with other stakeholders to make sure that there's a policy, there's an implementation strategy to make sure that our policy is being driven, and as you mentioned, that what is going to happen to the longevity of those policies that have been made, and how are we going to be reviewing our policy, who are the people that are going to be part of this policy review, is very, very important. Because, and thank you for mentioning the ecosystem policy restoration that you said, which is one of the key policy that can drive our regeneration in Nigeria and Africa entirely. So thank you very much, Mr. Husseini. Once again, our viewers, if you are watching us anywhere across the world, this is Climate Wednesday, a project under the International Climate Change Development Initiative. Is a platform that is a platform that build a climate smart generation across the value chain. And we are here today speaking with Mr. Hussein Orekoya on the topic of governance and the climate justice. And it's something that we've been driving this conversation for the past some weeks now. And we want to see the importance of climate justice because a lot of people are dying, a lot of people are causing the environment to be more they're damaging the environment with one or two actions. So this conversation is just for you to enlighten you, to give you the understanding of why we need to take care and build the culture of sustainable city. Thank you so much, everyone that is watching us, and we look forward to drop your question and tag our speaker on all the social media, please, on all social media platforms. He can respond to you and he can make you to understand what you need to do, how you need to move on in this conversation. Thank you very much, Mr. Oseni. Let's move on
Thank
so
you.
that we can wrap up very, very fast. What role? This is a very straight question to a lot of people, and people will know that yeah, your response to this will be very, very powerful. What role can individual play in ensuring governance toward climate justice?
Yeah.
Is relative to the first question we ask. Please, what is the role? Every sectors now, because we're talking about governance. We are the governors as well, because you mentioned that one day, by the time they take carry us along, we are going to be part of policy making formation. So what do you think should be our role in keeping this opportunity or making climate justice a very important thing in Nigeria? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. I think I will come into this question with this angle like the role on climate justice is everybody's role, and no one should take a back seat when it comes to policy formulation because when we look at the word stakeholder, stakeholder simply means, or stakeholdership simply means that anybody that has something quote and unquote to gain or lose in what in the policy that we made. So everybody in this context that is living under this planet Earth, that is under the same climate we have something to lose or gain. Looking at the angle of businesses and even private individuals, businesses that perchance you are the MD of a company, and in the past 4 years, your yield probably maybe you are into agriculture, your yield for maybe like maize that you use for producing your products, the yield you have in a year is like around maybe 25 tons. And when you do that, due to the impact of climate change, the next 4 years, the yield has been reducing from 25 to around 15 tons. You should be concerned because of your profit was is being affected at one side. And as an individual also, you live or you grow up in a community whereby there's a lot of green areas, there's a lot of fresh air, there's no much pollution, you know, and you live very well feeling happy. But growing up, you see that your children are not living in that same environment, in that same conducive atmosphere like before. So you should be concerned like how or why how or probably like how will my younger children, how will they grow up to become healthy like myself? Because if you look at it now, people that are at the age of 70 upward, they tend to be more stronger than people that are probably the 12 to 20 to 29, because of we tend to have been programmed based on what we eat and what and the environment we live in, to be full of contaminants and things that we believe are maybe like a lifestyle. But in the long run, these are things that are being shaped by policy. Businesses are shaped by policy. The way we live are shaped by policy. So everybody must be active. Your activeness might not be maybe you being in the boardroom, but you should be standby to follow up with everything that has been discussed and what to change your pattern, either in consumption, you change your pattern either in the use of basic amenities that have been provided in the community. For instance, the government provide a waste collection center or a waste collection point in your locality, but you refuse to use it because of you feel that it's too far from your neighborhood, or you refuse to use it and what pour your waste inside the lagoon because you feel like it's more easier for you. Definitely, you're not being governant to yourself in that regard. So everybody has a role to play, and our action and inaction will surely contribute toward the sustainability of the general environment. And that's what brought me back to the theme, or probably maybe like the name of my organization, My Environment is Mine. You can see how having a personal responsibility also shape the policy that we formulate both in the government and within ourselves. I would have loved to cite an example that I experienced was in the last 3 weeks. I was going, I saw it some ladies very early in the morning, around 5 a.m. in Lagos, very busy. I was trying to meet up with the traffic. I saw them very early in the morning pouring waste on the main road. You know, I was trying to talk to them, but you imagine the kind of response I got from them? Like, this is my business. But because of I don't have time to start arguing and the likes, I just have to go. They themselves, they will believe maybe the government will come over and what and pack the waste, but not knowing that directly or indirectly, your action is contributing towards what making that place become what a dump site. So if we ourselves can take ourselves accountable, definitely we will be confident to also take the government accountable too. And in that regard, I would like to round it up by saying that we all have a role to play in shaping the policy that we have, and also in the implementation of those elements in the policy, because those elements will not be implemented by words, it's by, well, by action. And our action and inaction makes and means a lot of things in shaping the general ecosystem in Nigeria, in Africa, and generally about the world. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we've done so much today in this conversation, and I'm very happy that Mr. Hussein Orekoya has been able to share a very perfect. I should have gone to the next question, but I think you've already touched on those questions, and it's something that I'm very happy because our action is also one of the things that contributes to be governance and to be sustainable as humans. And I'm very happy because you have actually touched the point I wanted to raise. And thank you very much for your contribution. Thanks so much for your passion. Thanks so much for
Thank you, sir.
the great work you have been doing. And I want to tell you that it's very, very important that as we have somebody like you, we have many people like you, then the environment will be more conducive and we'll be able to have a sustainable city that will make everybody to have the share of opportunity. And you also share with us that everybody is a partaker of this. No one is left behind, which is very, very important. I just want to say that thank you very much. Once again, you're watching Climate Wednesday. It's a platform to share, to hear, and to learn from our speakers across the world. Let me give our speaker the last word for today. Sir, can you please tell us one of your recommendations for both the government, stakeholders on the issue of governance and climate justice in Nigeria? Because a lot of people want to hear what is going to be our recommendation moving forward. What do you think we should start looking at? We've touched base on policy, we've touched base on individual activity, individual responsibility. What is your last, let me say, your statement, your recommendation to close this conversation today?
Thank you very much. I would like to give a recommendation to both the government and the general public that we should not shy away from the word politics. Policy is just like a synonyms of the word politics. Most people see politics as a game of death or something that is not clean like that. Sincerely believe you me, politics is what shape and policy is what shape everything and the way we live, the culture we have in every community and in every ecosystem. So my advice for us is that we should always participate when it comes to policy and politics and even governance in our community, starting from where we live and what to the general ecosystem like the federal government, the state government, and local government that we have. And one of the ways we can participate is by probably when you notice that there's a conference or there's a gathering, a town hall meeting that has been organized to put up your voice out, to tell your story on how you have been affected by some policies that are not too good for your community. You have the chance to come out to talk about yourself because the government that you're talking about, they did not know everything that is happening. They only have few information. But when you have been affected and you didn't come out, how would they know? So you coming out, you are helping yourself and helping the government or to shape the policy perfectly to meet the need and the root cause itself. So and it's not something that will take much of the time and the likes. And also, lastly, it should be youth joining political party or probably a youth joining politics. It's very important because we are the leader of tomorrow, as they say, and we should not shy away from that angle too, because that's where we are. We'll be able to effect a lot of change at the peak itself. Put your voice there because once the government see that they don't have someone to checkmate what they're doing, they tend to do anything they see, and we will not leave that room because of, we are doing this for the future generation. We will not lay back and feel intimidated about what is going on. Though we need to do businesses, and our business will also have an impact through what we are doing too. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody watching us across the world. Today has been so wonderful on our edition of ESG on climate justice. And today we've been able to bring to you again a very passionate, committed environmentalist and a city engineer. He has been doing a lot of justice to this conversation today on governance and climate justice, especially focusing on Nigeria. Thank you so much because what you've done today is a mark for an opportunity for people that do not understand how governance is related to climate justice and how people can start taking responsibility. And you've given us your recommendation that is going to usher or push us to start taking responsibility in an environment. And you've urged the younger generation to take part in politics, which is one of the stepping forward for us to be part of the decision making, because that is one of the ways we can implement or have conversation that get meaningful to engage our environment. Thank you so much, Mr. Hussein Orekoya, and we wish you all the best in what you do. Let's connect, let's create partnership opportunities across the value chain. Thank you so much and have a great and wonderful day ahead. Bye.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me today, and I'm very much glad to have this platform to also share my ideas. And I look forward to more topics and more engagements with global audience from Climate Wednesday. Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
time.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. Today has been so wonderful, and I'm very happy that we're able to do this again. We want to make sure that we give you very straightforward and short so that a lot of you can listen and watch and gain more experience from what you are having as a conversation on Climate Wednesday. We are very happy. Let me appreciate United Nations Development Program, UNDP Nigeria. Let me appreciate CSDevNet in Nigeria. Let me also appreciate PAGJA for the opportunity they've been giving to us to speak and to call for climate justice across Africa. And my appreciation also go to all my friends, all my team in Climate Wednesday, International Climate and Development Initiative, all the people behind the scene making sure that we have this conversation every Wednesday. I'm very happy because they are very passionate. They are doing fantastically well in their own local communities, and we are driving conversation that we make the environment more sustainable and more powerful for everyone. Today, we've discussed a lot around governance and climate justice. And our speaker, our guest, have made us to know that we need to be involved in politics for us to influence more policies and more driving conversation, because the environment is where we are and we own the environment. Taking step and taking action is one of the key steps for us to make sure that governance structure works fine for us. Thank you so much. And you can drop your questions for our speaker, for our guest, and I'm sure he's going to respond to them just because of time. We just want to make sure that all these our call is in very, very short, straightforward, and people will be able to listen. Send your question, tag him on Facebook, Twitter. And as you are watching this, you can still watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you so much. And we look forward for our last edition of ESG on climate justice next week. Keep the dates. Put on your notification on your YouTube on Climate Wednesday. Put on your notification on Twitter on Climate Wed, and put on your notification on Facebook so that you don't miss this every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Nigerian time, West African time +1, so that you'll be able to gain one or two things from our conversation. Have a lovely week ahead, and I wish you have a great day. Thank you very much. Be blessed.